4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, exactly. We got to be spontaneous, you know. What's up, Jenny?
Not much.
We're trying to get like into the action as quick as possible. You know, being
Hmm.
new to this whole podcast business, because we usually like before we hit record, we say good stuff, and then after we record, we say good stuff. But as soon as
Yes.
the recording starts, it's like I don't know. It's almost like we switch into like all business mode.
Totally.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, but like we're missing some gems. So I'm just gonna start
Hmm.
randomly hitting record. I
Okay.
might even be recording before you pop on next time, and we'll see what happens.
Well, I usually start just laughing. Once you get on there, I start laughing because
Well,
I hope everyone can tell we're totally having fun.
we're
Um,
trying,
or
that's for sure.
I
I
am.
know I'm having
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like here's a great example. Some of the gems that you out there in podcast land might have missed is Jenny talking about getting a new headset that's going to be gold.
Oh,
That's
well, okay.
amazing.
I was told that these are called. Full term is cans. You
Cans, yes, that's
Some
correct.
gold cans. That's what I want.
Gold, and I just like the way you say gold cans. Gold cans. All
Yes.
right. Well, we are back again to kind of continue this journey. Journey to what? We don't know. That's the whole point. We're journeying together. All we know is not experts, not trying to be experts. We're just documenting our journey to whatever this is and inviting you all along on the ride. So we're going to continue that today. And we thought it would be cool if we just talked about like our person, like who is that ideal, perfect person that we want to build a community full of. Um, I've been working a lot with um, building some presentations and a writing project, and the questions that keep coming up, the same question keeps coming up over and over and over again. It's like, so who is the intended audience? And you know, and sometimes they want demographic, like looking for, you know, so and so between this age and that age. I don't think that's what we're after, right?
Right.
I think we're looking more along the lines of they call it a psychographic. Like what's this person like? Where do they hang out? Where do they think and feel? So it's been like around my life recently thinking about so who is the intended person here? I think let's jam on that today, Jenny.
Okay. Well, as you were talking, I kind of had a flashback to maybe one of our first or second coaching sessions when I was more one of your clients. And you
Mm-hmm.
asked me, I think it was maybe a homework assignment, to think about who was my ideal client or who did I want to coach. And I immediately went to, um, should it be male or female? Because I feel like I can help both male and female. Should it be
Yeah.
a certain age? Well, I feel like I could mentor a younger person and I can identify with someone my own age. And I really struggled. Um, and then I talked with you, and you used that word. What was it?
Psychographic.
Psychographics. And once you gave me that freedom, I was like, oh, totally, totally. I can take away those kind of barriers, so to speak, and just really talk about someone's heart
Mm-hmm.
and what I wanted to. Okay, this is real life. My little ring light that makes me look better just went out. Oh gosh. Can I film without it? It's in
You're
the
just fine.
freeze.
You're just
Okay,
fine.
I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
order a new ring light when I get my gold cans, just so you know.
That's
Okay,
awesome.
super shiny.
There you go.
Okay, so once you gave me the freedom to like think about someone's heart and who that person was, and I've thought
Mm-hmm.
about it this week as well, just like you. I don't think it's any accident that we're both thinking along those same lines with some other projects I'm working on too. Is I keep the word that comes to me is a seeker.
Hmm. That's a that is an interesting word because depending on your context, your worldview, especially your background, seeker can mean a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
So unpack that. Tell me more about
Okay.
the seeker, the
Okay.
psychographics of a seeker.
I would say it's someone who knows there's more to life than maybe what they're living.
Yeah.
Someone who maybe is like, I think we've come to that point, like, is this really all there is? Is this what it is
Mm,
this what life is? I think there's if the seeker, if they're quiet enough to settle down and not be busy, they can hear that little heart whisper of
yeah.
you were made for more.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That reminds me, and I feel like absolutely terrible doing this. Shameless self-promotion time.
Oh,
Um, I thought, well, the way you described it, especially that last point about if they're still, if they're quiet, they could hear the whisper.
mhm.
I wrote something like that in my book, and I'm gonna have to bring up the Kindle version right here.
Mhm.
I don't have it. No, I don't have it on my bookshelf. So like my shelves behind me, except for a few random things, are completely bare because of this home remodel. All of my books are actually out in my garage on
Okay.
makeshift shelving that I moved my office. So let me bring up the Kindle version here.
Okay.
Um, and read something similar because the way you said that, and this has happened a lot recently, and it's really moments just like that right there. We've
Mhm.
had a few of those recently that has us on this journey together because you'll say something and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm the exact same way. Or that like I told my coach the story this week about how when you described your why, person you wanted to work with and what you wanted to accomplish, it reminded me of mine. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Let's see. Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna be able to find it. Here it is. Okay. All right. I'm gonna read my own book. This is so meta right now. I have no clue. Um, let's see. Okay. What dream did God put in my heart? What was I even here on earth to accomplish? And would it have any eternal significance? There it was, friends. There in the middle of that Applebee's, over those quesadillas, staring out over that cemetery was the first time I heard the invitation, call, the echo. It's taken many shapes since then and called me to new and different things, but its call has been beautifully consistent. I wonder if you've heard it too. At some point in your life, did you hear that voice? Did its echo reverberate within your soul? Like crazy Ray Kinsella in Field of Dreams out in the cornfields of Iowa, wondering if he was losing his ever loving mind. Can you hear that mystery calling from deep to deep? Or has it been a while? Have you tuned it out and let the call grow cold? Maybe it's been so long that you forgot what it sounds like. But the feeble words of this very chapter give you a goosebump or two because your soul bumped into a stranger from long ago. All the memories came rushing back like a blast of cold when you opened the door into the wilderness. Like that idea of like, maybe you've heard it, now it's grown cold, or like if you're really still, you'll hear it again. Like, and I got goosebumps just hearing you say that. See, and this is the great part about not scripting our podcast yet. I don't know if we ever will, because this is so good.
Yeah. As you were reading that, I'm super visual. I'm super
Hmm.
impacted by images I see, and I hope people can relate to this. What's that? Gosh, okay, this is real life stuff. It's a Christmas movie.
Okay.
Tom Hanks is the voice. It's
Uh, is
beautiful.
is that the animated Polar Express?
Yes, Polar Express. Okay. I don't know if anyone can remember this visual, but it stuck with me incredibly. And I think it's like the ticket. One
Yep.
of the little children has a ticket and it leaves the train and it flies up in the air and like an eagle grabs it. And then it rolls down in the snow and some wolves are playing with it and it's rolling around and then it gets
Yes.
rustled back up in the wind. And I know this may sound strange, but to me, that whisper in our heart is almost like that ticket. Like it goes out and it becomes a part of the world and then it swirls around with other things and then it miraculously comes back to us where it belongs.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I could think of while you're reading that. I absolutely love that scene, and it'll bring
Yeah.
tears to my eyes. And it could be real, like what? It's a ticket flying through the air, but it's not. It's to
Yeah.
me a real metaphor of something we have that's always ours, and it may leave, and it has purpose, and it's leaving, and it comes back.
Mm. Yeah. So I wonder if your person, the seeker, we'll call them, is like that ticket starting to come back.
hmm To me, it's just
Yeah.
and And if you'll remember, I think one of the children in the little girl, she was a very powerful little girl, and I think deep down she knew it. Yeah.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
think deep down she knew she was a leader. I know this sounds strange, but
Hmm.
I've read so much into that beautiful animated movie. And I was thinking about our person, our seeker, and I think that seeker, again, if they're still enough, knows they are meant for more, but that they
Yeah.
also have the ability to achieve it. There's a I wrote a couple of notes. They know deep down they are capable if given the opportunity and given the space. I
Yeah.
think one of the things I love about our jobs as coaches is that we get to offer people the space they need
Mm. Yeah.
in that seeking.
Yep. And that space is so important because when done correctly, that space means safety.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just because you could designate a space, but if the person does not feel safe there, if they don't feel like they have permission there, because that's a super vulnerable thing to
Mm-hmm.
explore all of these, especially out loud in someone else's presence. It's
Mm-hmm.
very scary, very vulnerable, especially if that person in the past has bore that part of themselves only to have it broken. Sometimes even as simple, and I try to be mindful of this with my kids, sometimes even something as simple as just being slightly dismissed, doing busy with something else or something else is going on, even if they didn't mean it like maliciously or even intentionally, that could be enough to really hurt and wound and say, I don't know if I'm willing to open up again.
Mm-hmm.
So to create that safety in that space is
Yeah.
huge.
Mm-hmm. Great point. Yes.
I think one word, so if you use the word seeker, I think another word that comes to mind for me when I think about who my type of person is, the word underdog keeps coming to mind. And maybe that's just my, sport and athletic background. But I love, love, love good underdog story. Um, and I guess essentially what that means for my psychographic, like take it out of the world of sports. Um, Someone who is either not supposed to achieve or maybe has had a fall from grace or obstacles or life stacked against them, and that opportunity that maybe they once had is no longer there or shouldn't be there. they're counted out.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe it's not so much other people, maybe it's they themselves have counted them out.
Mm-hmm.
They've considered that the opportunity has passed by, had my shot and I blew it. And, they're resigned.
Yeah.
To whatever mediocrity looks like for them.
Mm-hmm.
When I say that, I say mediocrity in the sense that it's something notably less what you were made for and what you're capable of.
Mm-hmm.
That's mediocrity, and that can mean different things to different people. Those people excite me because I get inspired when I could see something in someone else they don't see yet. That's one of my favorite things. And on a not only from a coaching basis, but one of the other things I do is I coach a softball team, and it's right now they're 12U. It's my daughter's team. So I have these 11, I even have a 10-year-old, 10, 11, 12-year-old girls on this softball team. And that's at this age, it's still very developmental, right? They're not, finished or polished products by any stretch of the imagination. But it reminds me of one in particular time during tryouts. And we're having them do all these drills. We're timing them as they run around the bases, watching them pitch and catch and throw. Was one girl that just wasn't as fast as the rest, didn't hit as well as the rest, field as well as the rest. But myself and my assistant coach, we would just look at her and look at each other and say, there's something there. I don't know what it is yet. I don't know why, but I feel strongly that there's something there. Okay. And she made the team. Honestly, I probably even left off someone who might have performed better on paper, but we saw something there. And that's already paying dividends. Because we see something in her that maybe wasn't evident, or maybe she didn't believe she had. And to even already right now see some of that coming to fruition just gets me so excited. But in almost any contact, whether it's a coach-client relationship or me coaching an athlete or just watching a movie about it or reading a book about it, I love seeing someone come alive because someone else saw that potential and was audacious enough to believe it. That person didn't believe it themselves. Right. I love that.
Yes. Yeah. I get it.
If I could work with a psychographic like that, I'd be pretty happy for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah. That is very cool.
We have the seeker and we have the underdog. There's probably other words for that, but underdog's just the one that comes to mind.
As you were talking, I was thinking about I had flashbacks of me playing softball growing up.
Oh yeah.
I was one of those kids. I don't know. I just thought that's what you did. Tried out for every sport. I just
sure.
did.
Yeah.
And one of the things that petrified me about softball was that to me it was a very individual sport, and that when I got up to bat, everybody was staring at me, and that just about undid me. And as a little girl, I couldn't voice that. I didn't know what I felt, but I knew I did not like that feeling of everyone's going to look at me, and I hope I can make contact with this object flying at me,
Yeah.
And so it was a very big challenge. And so as you were talking about that one girl, I was like, wow, she's really brave to even be in there trying, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things too that you and I can see is the effort that's put forth. Even a little bit of effort goes a long way.
Yeah.
Because she could have not tried. Right?
Exactly. It takes a lot of courage just to do that. Just like all these parallels today. This is great. just like it takes a lot of courage for a client to even seek out a coach,
Mm-hmm.
or even someone to even just seek out a friend or a trusted advisor to say, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm wondering. And what I try to do, and I've always tried to do this with you too, with anyone in any context, if they're able to summon the courage to bring that up and to say those words and to bear even a little bit of their soul, first thing I'm going to do is catch that and acknowledge it and say, wow, it took a lot of courage. Like, good for you for even just saying that, or even just coming up to me, or even just asking if you could talk. It takes a ton of courage.
Right.
Even that right there, even if I don't have any wonderful insight or advice, the simple fact that we could catch the seeker or the underdog and say, that took a lot of courage.
Mm-hmm.
That's super brave of you to step out like this. Like sometimes that's enough for them, having them to say, yeah, you know what? Maybe I am courageous. Maybe there's a little bit of bravery in me. I wonder what else might be there. And that could start the journey. That click might be loud. I don't know. That can start the journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I was thinking is like there's a courageousness that people have that I hope we get to acknowledge. And
Yeah.
the courage may be maybe you just listen to us talk right now. Um, I
Mm.
usually always start my first sessions with my clients and we talk and I'll say anytime you start to pay attention to what's going on, what you're thinking, how you're feeling, good things are going to happen. Because I think what happens is we get into this like flow of this is life. I get up, I go to work, I come home, I eat dinner, I go to bed, or whatever. I take care of my children, or I go to school and come home and do my homework. We get in this flow of like, this is it, this is it. And then if we just take the pause and the moment to be still
Mm.
and acknowledge, like, maybe there is something more. I am seeking more fulfillment in my life. I'm courageous in that I'm just stopping. Then good things are already happening. You don't have to do something miraculous or have this big lightning bolt moment. I think the moment is just the acknowledgement of wanting to move forward in meeting your goals or move forward in wanting more from life or
Yeah.
taking care of yourself or things like
Yep.
that.
Yep. Yep. And that's like, yeah, I don't think it's beating a dead horse to say like that alone is that step alone. I think a lot of people would be dismissive of that, of the magnitude of it. But that step alone is monstrous. And if you're able to do that, like what else are you potentially able to do?
Yeah, exactly.
I've been racking my mind trying to remember a lyric from an old song. Because I have a lot of ties to like literature or film or music, the arts. They do such
Mm-hmm.
a wonderful job of expressing some of the things I'm not so eloquent with. It's frustrating because I could like hear the melody in my head, but I
Okay.
can't I can't remember the source of the lyrics. It's killing me.
Is it like
Hopefully
the
I'll
old
remember it,
song?
but it's not well old, yeah. Um oh well. That's how
It's
I'll
gonna
remember
come.
it will. I'll remember it and I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay.
So cool to end on that for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh
Also,
well.
I will say this. So when you were telling the story about the girl trying out for the softball team, I had the flashbacks. But what came through my mind too was the kind of saying that what you focus on grows.
Yes.
Right? It's like you and your assistant coach were focusing on that something, there's something there. And as you're investing in that player, it's growing. And I learned that little saying. I went to hear a speaker. I don't know if you've ever had this moment in your life when you're like, this is very inconvenient for me, but I feel called to go hear this person speak. And I think I'm going to make it work. I remember the day I was having to shift around my schedule and hurry and rush. And afterwards, I was going to another event and I squeezed it in. And I remember I shuffled in a little late. I sat down and I started listening. And my thoughts were, dang it, this is a total waste of my time. Like, why did I come here? I'm not going to get anything out of this. You see, I had a very selfish, give me, give me, give me.
Yep.
And the speaker told this beautiful story of being very jealous of her husband in their marriage and how she kind of overcame that through a lot of work. And what she kept coming back to was those 3 or 4 words, what you focus on grows. 5 words. What you focus on grows. What you focus on grows. And she began to shift her focus from things that were upsetting her, making her jealous, to the really beautiful attributes in her husband. And I walked away and I was like, all that rigmaroling, all that changing of schedules was worth that one lesson of what you focus on grows. And so it's the same with the seeker or the underdog. It's like, I feel like, I hope we're giving people the opportunity to focus on who they are, their gifts and strength, and then it gets to grow.
Yes. Yep. And maybe some people for the first time.
Yes.
I think occasionally you meet the person whose life of self-deprecation and always putting other people first really does hinder their true potential. And sometimes that's even used as a way to avoid what your potential is, to explore it, because that's dangerous. That's risky to step out and explore your potential. So maybe even it's that person who for the first time is going to say, I wonder if someone sees something in me. Gosh, can you imagine a community like that? Oh, good gravy.
Right? And good the gravy. Impact that could be made just from that.
Yes, the ripples, right?
Ripples. Yes.
That's good. The seeker and the underdog, that person who's searching for something more, who maybe they hear that whisper, that echo. Maybe at one point in time they heard it, but it's grown really, really faint and really dim. That sounds like our kind of person, doesn't it?
Yes, it really does.
That's really good. We're right at 30 minutes. So this is kind of, I know, right? That one quick, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
That's good though, because when you're having fun, time flies.
That's right. That's right. We are having fun.
And I think that's kind of the beauty so far of this unscripted format, where we're really just saying, all right, let's talk about who our person is, hit record, and whatever happens, happens. Get in a flow like I think we just did. Time really goes.
Yes.
Really goes. Awesome. Well, we will go ahead and we'll end this one here. I think some of the other things we're going to talk about coming up, maybe to give people in podcast land a little bit of a sneak peek. We wanted to talk about not only just our coaching like styles or methods, but some of our favorite moments in coaching. Maybe we'll expand more on this underdog. Talk about some of our favorite moments interacting with these sorts of people, possibly as coach and client. And then we're going to just jam around how we want to work, how we want this community to look and act and feel, and how we want to look, act, and feel interacting with people. So we really are kind of just building this out in real time. And honestly, like, I don't know when you're listening to this if this show will have a name. We haven't even named this thing yet. We have no name.
That's fun. I mean, it's funny and fun.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna when that podcast comes, I'll have to say the name I wanted to name it. And you were like,
Oh yeah. We'll talk about that for sure. I like where you're going with it. But yeah, we'll save that for another episode.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jenny, and thank you out there, podcast listeners.
Yes. All right.
We'll see you.